So is Silicon Valley Bank the most woke bank out there? Is it these woke policies that cause the situation that we're currently in? I want to share some honest opinion about this stuff. And perfectly frank, guys, this whole discussion pisses me off. And I want to show you why. So let's just jump right in and I'll show you my point of view on these things. So first, this is a headline. GOP blames Silicon Valley Bank's collapse on ESG policies. Here's what to know. So basically, if you're on the right, you just say, okay, everything has to do with gay people getting married and promoting women. This is what's causing all of our problems, right? All this woke stuff. You can take a look here. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, this is a Republican out of Kentucky, saying SVB, right, Silicon Valley Bank, is one of the most woke banks, right? ESG type policy, right? Environment, social governance. This is sort of what's giving us all of our problems. Governor DeSantis in Florida, he's going to run for president, of course. He's just like, you know what? This is like these equity and conclusion stuff. This is really hurting us. It's diverting from them focusing on their core mission, right? And then you got Tucker Carlson over at Fox News. He's like, you know, this diversity inclusion stuff, this is the big banks are now becoming increasingly incompetent. So because of all this woke policy, this is why the banks are failing. This is what they're going to tell you. I can't give a straight face. You know, and I just want you to be honest, guys. Just be honest. Do you honestly think, and if you do, please write in the comments. I want to hear why. Do you honestly think that, say, having a workforce that is more diverse and more gay, would that cause the collapse that we saw? Just be honest. I want to hear your thoughts on this, because I'm going to give you a different point of view on this, right? So you can see here, there's another headline. While Silicon Valley Bank collapsed, top executives push woke programs, right? This is what's caused the thing. According to these people, Donald Trump Jr., he's going to say, Silicon Valley Bank is what happens when you push leftist woke ideology and have to take precedent over common sense business practices. So again, he's making the case because they are so pro-gay, that's why we have the problems that we do. And he's tweeting out, look at this person right here. This is the fall right there. This is what Donald Trump Jr. is saying. In response, which is kind of funny, Luke Zelensky saying, well, gee, Donald Trump Jr., you were fined $1.6 million for 17 felonies, etc. This is the Trump Organization for Corruption. Not just making stuff up, guys. And I get it. Some people say, oh, you're just making stuff up. Look it up for yourself. Not. Keith Olbermann, he's tweeting out, right? So Silicon Valley Bank used former McCarthy staffers to weaken regulations. And I want you to ask yourself this honest question. Do you think if a bank has diversity and inclusion, does that create the crisis that we're in, or deregulation? Ask yourself this and be honest about this, right? Because here's the reality, in my point of view, and I'm not just making random stuff up. The CEO, right? So this is him right here, Silicon Valley Bank CEO Greg Becker. They were heavily lobbying to basically Congress to deregulate the banks, right? Silicon Valley Bank pressed Congress to weaken risk regulations, and I've been mentioning to you guys several times because I think it's definitely worth mentioning. Also, too, it was a bipartisan thing who voted to deregulate. So it was signed under Trump. We had 50 Senate Republicans, 17 Democrats, right? I'm just being honest. And then very few people are honest in this world. It's really frustrating to me. And even Democratic Virginia Senator Mark Warner, he was hosting fundraisers over in Menlo Park with the CEO of Silicon Valley Bank. So I'm not making stuff up. So it was both parties there, right? You can see, though, this is also reality. It was more Republicans than Democrats, but I'm telling you, it was both parties. Also, too, you can take a look at the 2008 financial crisis, right? All sorts of problems were happening with that. And then after that, we decided to regulate, and the regulations, and this is sort of like kind of following the Occupy Wall Street stuff. For those of you too young, you probably don't remember this stuff, but in my generation, I am Gen X. I was coming out of college during this time, and it was awful. It was essentially the Great Recession. They couldn't find jobs anywhere. And there was a lot of this talk of the 99%, which is like the most of us, and it was really the 1% who got these bailouts. If you guys remember these things. And, it's funny because for me, I would think that we wouldn't want necessarily to pass policies and bailouts for the top richest 1%. That's just me. But there's some people out there that think, it's more important to care about whether or not gay people are getting married, right? That's what, in their point of view. So you guys get my feeling on these things. But I'm just, like I said, I'm a little bit pissed off because I feel like these things are so obvious, but to some people, evidently they're not. And that's why I have to make these kind of videos. So the Dodd-Frank thing was passed, and this is basically more regulations on Wall Street. That's basically what it was, right? And this was mostly passed by Democrats. The Republicans opposed it, okay? I'm not just making stuff up. I have to keep saying it over and over again because people act like I just make stuff up. And that's why I show you these pages. I'm not just making random stuff up. In 2017 and 18, The Republicans worked to repeal the Dodd-Frank. Basically, they wanted to deregulate. And the argument they're going to make is if you have too many regulations on Wall Street, you will slow down business activity. That's the basic idea, right? Financial Choice Act, you guys look this up for yourself. This was the headline on May 22nd, 2018. Congress approves first big Dodd-Frank rollback, right? And again, this is for deregulation. So Dodd-Frank was to regulate Wall Street right after the fiscal crisis of 2007, 2008. And then they started to roll it back in about 10 years later. And it was Republicans who wanted to roll it back. And these are some quotes, right? I'm not making stuff up. Paul D. Ryan, the House Speaker and Wisconsin Republican, right? The bill's passage was a step forward, freeing our economy from overregulation, okay? And that's fine. If that's your point of view, totally fine. I just want to just make sure we guys are on the same page so that we're not just making random stuff up. So the Republicans, they wanted, deregulation. They thought things were overregulated because they thought the Dodd-Frank went too far. This would be their point of view. Our smaller banks are our engines of growth, right? Banks like SVB, essentially. By lending to small businesses and offering banking services for consumers, these institutions are and will remain vital to millions of Americans who participate in our economy. And this is essentially, whether or not we want to hold Wall Street accountable. You guys see right here. On the opposite side, the Democrats are saying here, this was Nancy Pelosi, it's a bad bill under the guise of helping community banks. The bill would take us back to the days when unchecked recklessness on Wall Street ignited a historic financial meltdown. And you guys can decide which side of history that you want to be on. I'm just posing you the facts. I'm not just making stuff up. And I have to keep saying that because I really understand. I do YouTube every day, and there's people out there that just love to make stuff up. And so this is why I show you guys really, really clearly. I don't need to show you all these quotes. I can tell you exactly my opinion, but I do this because, again, there's too many people out there that just like to make stuff up. So I do this. So this was, also to be fair, the rollback. This was going back to rolling back the Dodd-Frank thing. This is in 2018. It was voted 258 to 159. It was bipartisan. It was a majority Republican, but many Democrats voted for it. And my understanding is that they were Democrats who were essentially in Trump states. They were concerned about getting reelected, and they wanted to sort of, say, hey, we're working with the Republicans, et cetera. And that is what it is, right? So this was a number, sort of how it was. And Trump was said, this is according to Trump, President Trump, who promised to do a number on Dodd-Frank. So again, and this is something that Trump was all about. And there's also being real with you guys. So Trump was all about, having a strong Wall Street. He wanted the thing to just, go up forever. And he loved to brag about it being really high, which is fine. I get that. And so I just wanted to be honest, right? So some people say, oh, I hate Biden because Biden hates Wall Street. Maybe. And I'm not, I'm just saying you have to decide like what side of history that you want to be on. Do you want to go with the side of history that's completely deregulated and you have these crises and you have this sort of crazy run-ups and crazy moves in the market? Or do you want to say, hey, we're going to regulate it? It's up to you guys, right? But I'm not going to just make random stuff up. And this is sort of the thing that we faced was like, okay, after the 07-08 crisis, do we want to have this problem again? And evidently, 10 years later, people was like, you know what? Let's deregulate it because let's go ahead and have that problem again. I don't think people didn't say this was going to happen. So this was actually March 6, 2018, okay? This is, you can read it right here, the Joint Economic Committee of the Democrats. And in fact, this is really interesting. If you take a look here, it says, which banks would see regulatory break under the Dodd-Frank rollback? And if you take a look right here, SVB Financial Group is literally right there. They were saying this would be what would happen. These banks would no longer be subject to nearly any enhanced regulation. So it wasn't like people didn't see this coming. This literally is right here. This was, you can find it for yourself. I'm just showing you guys the stuff. They were talking about this, and it's essentially, I would argue, and I don't think it's a hard argument to make, that if you deregulate these kind of banks like SVB, this is the kind of problems that you have. But the side on the right, they're going to say, no. It's not about regulations. It's not about law. It's about them supporting gay people and in promoting women. Those woke policies, that's what did it. That's really what they say. And people actually believe this nonsense. And that's why I get pissed off, because I just like, I am totally fine if we want to have discussions about regulation or deregulation, right? I'm showing you the stuff and I get it. And we may disagree on that. But I'm not just going to make random crap up about like, just because, you support gay stuff, that's why we have, financial crisis. It doesn't make sense to me. But if it makes sense to you, please explain to me why that makes sense, why deregulation doesn't matter. Please explain it to me, because I'm seeing right here, they were having discussions, like literally right there. Silicon Valley Bank, right? And the Zion was in there, and Compass, like this is the ones that we're talking about. Chris Reese is right there. It's so ridiculous. It's right here. And even fact, in March 7th, 2018, Elizabeth Warren, and full disclosure, I like Elizabeth Warren, and this is sort of why. I like that she wants to regulate Wall Street and banks. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. One thing that she's been for all along is like she feels like, and I agree, that many banks charge way too high fees, be it your ATM surcharges, credit card fees, these kind of things. And she's always wanted to regulate that. So she's saying here, Senator Warren outlines how bank deregulation pose risk to the economy. So if you deregulate, you may have problems. He even gave a speech that very few people watched, right? This is on, and I just commented recently, you can see here, you were right. They had 427 views, very few views. March 2018. I just want to show you guys. It's on YouTube. You can watch it for yourself. And it says, Senator Warren outlines how bank deregulations poses risk to the economy. I have met Liz Warren. I'm just giving you guys full disclosure. I like her. And also, too, I liked her all the time when she used to go on Jon Stewart. I like Jon Stewart as well. There's certain people I like because, perfectly frank, guys, it's not, for me, it's not really about party. I just like politicians that look out for the consumer and don't necessarily side with the big, companies, the big banks and these kind of things. I don't want taxpayers to have to bail out big corporations. So if you agree or disagree, let me know. If you want your taxpayer dollars to go bail out Wall Street, let me know. I don't myself. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's a crazy opinion to have either. But everyone's a right to their own opinion. Here's another headline here. Back-to-back bank collapse came after deregulatory push, right? So it's not like people aren't talking about this stuff. And I just wanted to bring it up because I just find it so obvious. But it's sad because a lot of people get distracted by the whole, wokeism, stuff like that. And they get like all caught up in like, oh yes, gay people getting married is what's causing our financial crisis. Like people actually believe it. Here's more headlines. The story behind the Founders Fund and the run on Silicon Valley Bank, because some people have asked me this in the comments, and I always answer the same answer, Peter Thiel. Basically, Peter Thiel is, and he's kind of like an Elon Musk guy or like a Trump person. They kind of lean right, but I personally don't feel that they're really political per se. I think these kind of people just care about making money. That's just my honest opinion on that. And for these kind of people to make money, they think, okay, deregulation is good, but if we ever like have any problems, come bail us out, government, right? It's just your classic crypto boy stuff to where like, deregulate crypto. And then when you lose all your money, why didn't you protect me? That's these kind of people are like that. And you can see the headline, Silicon Valley Bank unmasked the hypocrisy of libertarian tech bros, right? That this guy got. It's the same kind of stuff. And, it's funny too. There was a lot of reporters have been sort of like, what's the right word to say, teasing Thiel and stuff like that. Or Thiel, I think is how you say his name. Mostly because he's just that kind of person, right? He kind of says things to play to a certain kind of people, to frankly, I don't know how to say it, naive, easily manipulated, however you want to say, for their own profit. And like I said, I don't necessarily see him as a Republican. I just see him as a person who wants to make money. And there was one that was really funny was, Sarah Eisen, this is one of the reporters on CNBC, she was saying, there should be more scrutiny of Peter Thiel, Bill Ackman for yelling fire in a crowd of fear, the SVB collapse. And there's a long discussion about this. And the argument that could be made on Thiel's behalf that if he thinks the bank is going to fail, then why not tell your friends what's wrong with that? That's the argument that you can make. I get that argument. The argument against it is that, well, you kind of caused this problem because essentially causing a bank run. And that's an interesting question of whether or not causing a bank run is illegal. I'm just saying that's an interesting question. And you can make the case, though, that the case for him was saying, well, he saw the building was burning and why not tell people, right? I think it's an interesting case. But I do think, though, that the speed at which that sort of he told all his friends of all the money, big money, to start pulling your money out, essentially causing this kind of thing. And I mean, it's certainly worth mentioning. And, like I said, many reporters are kind of chastising him. Here's a funny one. It says here, you're talking about Peter Thiel. Oh, you mean the guy who was touting crypto and trashing critics while he was selling crypto? That guy? Shocker. That was the journalist Kara Swisher. So, this is the frustrating thing I have about politics in the USA, because I think, frankly, a lot of it is just dumb. This is just literally the headline. I could make whole videos about this stuff. I don't do it all the time, but I just want to mention it. Like, for example, you read the headline. I'm not just making stuff up. DeSantis administration revokes Hyatt Regency Miami alcohol license after it hosted a drag queen Christmas. So there are some people out there that, to them, this is the most important issue, right? Whether or not people are having drag shows at a hotel. Oh my God, people are having drag at a hotel. Oh my God, gay people are getting married. Well, what are we going to do? Don't worry about banks melting down. Don't worry about people running off with your money. Don't worry about taxpayer dollars going to bailout stuff. But please, please keep those gay people from getting married. Keep those drag shows from happening. And this is the seriously, people actually think this is important. The argument that DeSantis can make up, because I'm being fair, I'm telling you what it is that he's saying that they served alcohol and minors were present. Now, I just want you guys to just think about this. So it makes it sound so scary. Like, how could you have minors around gay people and drinking alcohol? How could you let that happen? Just be real, guys. Do you take your kids to a basketball game, a football game, a baseball game? Let me ask, do you? Do you drink beer in front of your kids at a baseball game? Do you consider that like a terrible environment for kids? Are there other environments where you take your kids and you drink alcohol? Yes, true or false? It's an honest question. And so, like, I think that when I read these kind of headlines, I just feel like, God, this is just, frankly, for dumb people. I think this is just dumb. And I get it. If you don't like gay people, right, you vote for these people, you don't like gay people, and you just ignore anything that happens in business on Wall Street. And frankly, it's frustrating to me. It's really, really frustrating because I'd fine talking about bank regulations, but, like, this is what people are voting for, whether or not, we're having, gay strip club or whatever the stuff is. DeSantis stripping Florida's hotel liquor license after hosting lewd drag show with children present. And that's the Fox News headline. And that's what the part of the, the media wants you to think about, is this kind of stuff as if that's important. And it's frustrating because, Elizabeth Warren, like I said, full disclosure, I like Elizabeth Warren. I have no problem saying that. She wants a bill right here to repeal Trump-era bank deregulation, says that led to SVB signature collapse. So, that's my point of view on this stuff, guys. And I hope you understand why I put it in these frameworks, because I honestly believe that regulation is needed for these kind of things. I don't want banks to just like lose your money. I don't think that's a good thing. And I don't think that's healthy for our economy. And for some people, they care more about woke stuff and they want to steer the crowd to thinking of those kind of things. And I'll see it in YouTube comments and I'm just like, are we stupid? I mean, seriously, are we that dumb? And I want to be talking about regulations. That's why I always say, I'm for people who care about consumer protection. Like, I honestly think that if you put your money in a bank and the bank loses it, because they're off doing crazy crap, I don't think that's good for regular people. And I hope you understand why I care about these things. So I get it. Some people think gay stuff and woke stuff is the most important thing. I disagree. And this is my point of view on this whole particular issue. So thanks again for watching, everyone, and I'll catch you in the next video.